Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Pulse, brought to you by America's Pulse Network. Tonight, I'm your host, Damon, and it's where we talk about everything from right and wrong, good and bad, politics and bananas, and plain old common sense, just the plain old fucking stupid. So that's my monologue for tonight. So I'm sorry I went across my producer's ready to kill me because I started out with the monologue. That's it. That's all it is. I told him it's going to be short, but it's breaking news. So if you can put the breaking news up right now, I'll tell you what the breaking news is. Breaking news is the Supreme Court just ruled against the United States versus Scrimetti. And we will get into that in one of our segments, but that is breaking news. It's a big thing. And we'll go on that in this segment too. But before we're going to start off with segment one, I'm going to get to this because I have a couple clips to play and I want to introduce everybody. So we're going to go on to segment one, and here we go. I want to introduce our co-host, Seth Eisenberg from the Conservative Corner.
My hand keeps disappearing.
Who calls me the hammer all the time. But he calls me that because I was swinging a hammer, hit his foot. Now he has half a foot.
I owe him money.
But so I would introduce Alexandra Levine. She will be on shortly, so she's not going to pop on just yet. She's running late, flash floods down where she's at, so we'll see her when she gets here. And then to our guests tonight, ladies first, I will introduce Elena Barbera from The Base Mother.
Hey, what's up, Damon?
What's up, Elena? How are you?
I'm psyched. We're going to get fired up tonight. I feel it.
That's why I wanted to kill the monologue completely. There was no need for it. We got a lot of stuff. I just figured saying that we're going to talk common sense and fucking stupid, and then we get to it. So, and then we have another guest, Tim Fazenbaker, our elected official, our only elected official, because there's one on here that never got elected, tried but didn't. But my man, Tim Fazenbaker.
I'm here, but ladies first. It's Pride Month. It should have been me.
So, all right, with that, until we'll wait for Alexandra to get on, but we'll go into our first segment. The first segment basically is Middle East, and it's in the Inferno and World War III. Is it going to start World War III or not? And before we get into that, one thing I wanted to do was I just want to play this quick clip by Jon Stewart. He's an idiot, but then we're going to talk about it. So, quick clip by him. That's all I clip.
It's all on fire. This is a wedding video from Lebanon over the weekend. Iran is months away from having a nuclear bomb, says Netanyahu.
Now, I just want to say in that clip right there, again, he says Netanyahu from 2012. Yes, he did say that in 2012. But let me go back to the beginning of it when he said this is a wedding from Lebanon. Now, that's a wedding from Lebanon. The music's still playing. They're showing the rockets in the air. My point is about that, showing that clip, is that's what's normal over there. And it's not normal. It shouldn't be that way. So everyone that has a problem with what's going on over there, do we have to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon? They wouldn't be videoing that. It's just rockets going over and ballistic rockets. And thank God they're not ICBMs because they'd be coming our way. But imagine it was a nuclear rocket. You would just have a second for that video, and then you would never see it because it would never broadcast. You see a mushroom cloud. And that's why it's important that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. And then what Stewart said in the end says Netanyahu, since 2012, he's a hack comedian that doesn't even know. I mean, yeah, since 2012, because you know why? Because Israel and probably the United States too denied it, but it's Stuxnet virus. That I don't know if you guys know about that. The virus that was downloaded, they somehow, I don't know how, but they covertly had them download it into their computers when they're trying to develop a nuclear weapon, and it set them back for years. And not just that, that virus, but Israel has been covertly slowing down their process as much as they possibly can, till it got to a point where they can't do it anymore, and they were that close. So For this, I was going to go to Alexandra first because she was hitting it pretty hard on her podcast last night. Did a great job and had some people say some nasty things to her last night, but that's what you do. You have to say your opinion. You want to be public, but she handled it pretty well. So I guess I will go with, start with you, Tim. Let's go. What do you think about this?
Everybody's been coming to me saying, "Hey, Mr. Tim," well, my kids' friends, they know I'm involved with this, and they're like, "Are we going on World War III?" I'm like, "No, don't worry." I was like, I learned to have trust in President Trump. There are things that I don't like that he does, but generally speaking, when something goes on, Trump handles it the right way. And it's for people like myself who tend to be more libertarian. We question the process a lot. And you're seeing that with like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul and things like that. And this time around, I'm really just saying, you know what? Even like with the big, beautiful bill and what's going on in the Middle East, just let President Trump handle it. And it's peaceful. It gives me a lot less stress. And what I think is going to happen is, my personal opinion is, I do think the Ayatollah will be replaced somehow, whether it's a inner revolution or whether it's some kind of manipulative forced new regime in there. But I think you will have the perception that America is not involved. And look, a lot of us on the libertarian right, we don't want to be dealing with these types of quagmires and these never-ending wars. And we want people like Lindsey Graham, who ejaculated when he found out that the war was going on. We don't want these types of people anymore involved in anything. So I think President Trump is handling this in a very good way, in a way that the American people don't necessarily need to see the sausage making. And ultimately, what's going to come of this is going to be a new Persia, in a sense, an ally to Israel, an ally to America. The Persian people are great. I live outside of Baltimore. I grew up. There's a lot of Persians in the D.C. area. I know there's a ton of Persians in L.A. and in New York and things like that. They are great people. And unfortunately, in my life, born in 1978, the whole thing has been, Iran. And it's been because it's with Jimmy Carter. The whole thing's been with the Ayatollah and their radical beliefs and taking over. I think this will all end up looking very good in the future. And we won't have to worry about Iran as the state sponsor of terror. I'm sure there'll be some bad players there, but ultimately, I think President Trump will have this worked out using Israel as the main weapon to actually do what needs to be done.
Okay, it seems like I was about to say Alexandra's about to come in. Alexandra, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Long day in DC. Sorry.
I hear you. How was your flash floods? I heard you were going through that. So.
It was great. I'm alive. Baruch Hashem. Good to be here.
She was on standard time.
I don't know if you caught any at the beginning. I know you were rushing to get on. Basically, we're in our first segment. We're just talking about what's going on in the Middle East and Iran, and then I played a clip of Jon Stewart. I don't know how to tell you about him. He's an idiot. But we were just going to get your take. I was talking about how Jon Stewart said that Netanyahu said in 2012 they're this close to getting a nuke, and he made fun of him for saying that, saying it was 2012. And I just went into the Stuxnet project, how and the virus is slowing down and everything else, and everything Israel's been doing to slow them down. That's why they didn't develop it then. And the United States has them, but they were this close, and this is what was necessary to stop the Ayatollah and somebody that anybody wanted to point a nuclear weapon at them. So go ahead. I don't need to repeat it.
No,
I saw your show last night. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to repeat what I said last night. Bibi Netanyahu has been consistent on this from actually age 28 to today about how Iran has the capability of obtaining nuclear weapons and creating nuclear bombs. He's come to America 5 times and spoken to the halls of Congress and told us deliberately that Iran has the capability to do this. And he told us all about the nuclear facilities and nuclear sites and what Israel needs to do to stop this. And of course, he's asking, he's not like Zelensky, where he comes here and asks for our help and begs for money and so forth. He has always said, if we go it alone, we go it alone. But, one thing that he said at the age of 28, and you can watch this on Instagram, he said, nobody wants peace more than Israel, but the stumbling block to the road for peace is this demand. And he always said, for this PLO state, which will mean more war, more violence in the Middle East. And a lot of that progresses to today with, a lot of these countries say we want a two-state solution. A lot of them, they say it publicly, but behind the scenes, like Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Sudan, UAE, the majority of the Arab countries actually support Israel here and support Netanyahu here. So that's why it's very important that we as Americans, that we stand and support Israel. And it's not going against America first if we're standing and supporting our biggest ally, Israel.
No, you're right about that. We should support our biggest ally. And I'm going to bring it, Seth, I'm going to save you for last on this one. I'm going to go to the next lady because I know what you're going to bring to the table. So I'm going to go to you, Elena. So, I mean, do you think it's important to support our biggest ally? I know that you're going to say yes, it is. But if we were, let's say, I'm going to lead with this one for you. If the United States were to get more involved, if we were to give Israel one of those bunker busters that no one else has but us, and we just ended it right then and there, and we got down to the bottom of it. Yes, there probably will be some type of repercussion for the United States, but what do you think it will be? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think we should just try to get involved or just let Israel handle it?
Listen, guys, this is dicey. I love everybody that has a really strong opinion on this because your decisiveness and your knowledge on it are deeper than mine. I'll say this. My gut instinct is to support Israel in whatever way we can, but I really don't want to get involved militarily unless America and Americans are in danger. And that's just my position as an American, and looking at our military and seeing what has happened to us over the decades of fighting in the Middle East. I just don't want to do it. That said, I think that there is danger to America. So I'm feeling like there is some inevitability. And I think that, participating in a strike is very different than all out war. And we have to distinguish between those two things in this discussion. But I'll leave it to the experts, the rest of this.
Okay. So, all right. So, Seth, so I'm going to bring it to you. So now, me personally, I'm kind of on the fence of whether we should give them the bunker busters or not to do this, or just let Israel hand out. I mean, we already have our hand in some way, shape, or form by, not just allowing it to happen, but knowing it was going to happen. We tried to broker a deal with them. We gave them the time to broker a deal. They didn't do it. I know that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, I feel personally that it's not going to be good for anyone else in the world. But if we did do that and say, there's going to be some type of retaliation, whether they get some of the nuclear waste left over, have a dirty bomb, whatever it may be, that could hurt the United States or anybody else. How far do you think it should go? Do you think we should come to peace talks with them again? I'm pretty sure I know where you're going to go, but what do you think is the best end? Because I don't see American boots on the ground should ever happen in this war whatsoever. But it does keep a lot of people are asking me about it. They're afraid. Is it World War III? We got Russia, Ukraine. We had this going on. There was so many different wars going on, and there was culture war right here in the United States that's getting pretty bad too. So what do you think?
Well,
Seth, can I jump in real quick, Seth, and ask you on that question as well, since you are the expert? Is it true that Israel cannot drop that 60,000-pound bunker buster? And if that's the case, would America have to do that?
yeah, I don't think they have the plane or jet capable of dropping a bomb that big. They're mostly F-16s that we've given them or sold them. They may have a couple F-22s. I'm not sure about that because those are relatively new. They may still be using F-18 Tomcats as well. None of those are capable of dropping that payload. So most likely would have to be us or another country that would help them drop that. If it even comes to that. I mean, Iran's already begging to go to the peace tables. They're begging. They've called Trump several times going, we want to talk, get Israel to talk. We want to talk. They're getting their ass kicked. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the pictures show. They are getting their asses kicked. And the thing on top of that is they know no one is going to help them because they're a state that sponsors terrorism everywhere. They've affected almost every country in the world. No one's going to help them, and they know that now. Do we need to get involved? Not so much as boots on the ground or anything like that, but I think intelligence is at the bare minimum what we should do. Give them the intelligence we have, let them do with it as they see fit. And I really don't think it's going to escalate to even a war. I think what we have now is a skirmish. It's going to end in a skirmish. Iran can't keep up. They're done already. They got people fleeing their country. But yeah, and like I said on my show Sunday, they're the talking heads in this country, the know-it-alls that have more bullshit than brains. Israel has no right to do this. They have every right to do it. We don't live in constant fear like they do. We don't get attacked constantly like they do. We don't have to deal with terrorism on a constant basis like they do that is sponsored by Iran. Like I said, if Canada were attacking us every day, throwing missiles into our country, blowing up stuff in our country and killing our citizens, and all of a sudden we found out one day they possibly could have nuclear weapons. Are we going to sit on our ass and go, oh, please don't use it? We'll just wait and see? We would bomb the shit out of them too. Israel's only doing what any other country in the entire world would do when they find out an enemy of theirs that has sworn to kill them all. It's in their constitution to wipe Israel off the map.
Correct.
They found out an enemy might have nuclear capability, which is not far-fetched because in 2015 they found they had uranium at 60% purity. They violated the whole agreement back then. So if there's even a 1% chance Iran has a capability, they had every right to bomb the shit out of them. And I wouldn't stop until they tapped out. I want to go to the peace talks. No, we'll be done when we've parking lotted your country and we know you can't be a further threat to us. Mm-hmm. We're tired of living in fear. It's that simple. So I think what they're doing is called for. Every civilized country in the world should be backing them in some way, shape, or form. And that will tell the other terrorists in the world, if you fuck around, you're going to find out.
I do want to make the point, this is important for a lot of people that don't know this. There's no permanent United States bases in Israel. There are no U.S. military personnel stationed in Israel. And there's a reason. Bibi Netanyahu has said this from then until now, that not one United States soldier will die on his soil. There's a reason. Now, there's U.S. bases in Bahrain. There's U.S. bases in Qatar. There's U.S. bases in Saudi Arabia. But there's a specific reason why there is not one United States base in Eretz Israel, in Israel. I say Hebrew because we have people from Israel listening right now. And you'll hear me do Hebrew throughout tonight if we continue with this conversation. But it's very, very important. It's very important that we understand this because, again, President Trump is doing everything he can to ensure that we don't have United States troops in Israel and on the ground, but Bibi Netanyahu will not allow United States troops on his soil and on the ground and on his ground and on the land.
I have a question. But does Iran have the capability to attack those U.S. bases in the region? I mean, my understanding is they're starting to be spread a little bit thin. They're running out of, missiles. But again, I defer. I have to ask you guys because there are people watching who are like me and don't have the level of the knowledge. So forgive the kindergarten questions.
They have drones that can reach, as we know, from where they're at to Israel. Drones are like the poor man's weapon. They're more terror than damage inflicting because they can't be that big to do that much damage. They're more just terrorize the population with like hundreds of them coming at once.
All right, so they wouldn't use that on a military.
No. They have missiles, but we have countermeasures at most military bases that would nullify their 1920s technology. So it really doesn't matter.
So would you say that's a low risk?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I also,
I would say it's a low risk, but anything can happen. I mean, you look at the Iron Dome, and the United States is there assisting shooting down these rockets, but they're only stopping like 80 to 85, 87% of the rockets getting through because of course, Iran firing at civilian areas in Israel. And yeah, so they get through once in a while. There are casualties in Israel right now, nowhere near in Iran. But I know one thing for Israel, I will give them, they're the only country that I know that warns anybody to get out before they bomb certain things. I mean, that is one great thing. I never seen any army ever say, hey, listen, we're going to drop leaflets from planes. We're going to put an air raid thing out there. We're going to text everyone, go on TV, say, hey, listen, in 30 minutes, we're bombing this place. So get out. The only difference is, people like the Ayatollah, like Hamas and stuff like that, they like hiding behind civilians. And there are a lot of good people in Iran, and that's the bad thing. But the good people in Iran, they want this regime toppled, but the only thing is who's going to stand up, who's going to take their place. That's the scary part, because it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, and we've dealt with that so many times in the past. So I don't know if the United States should get involved, even though they will have to if an American soldier dies, American citizen dies, then. But it's a risky game. There's nothing not at risk when it comes to something like this. Do I think they're going to handle it well? They're handle it as best they possibly freaking can. I've never seen an army do this before.
As we end this, my friend Scott Walker's watching, and his son's employed in Germany. So thank him for his service.
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
I have a lot of friends that are currently in Israel right now watching us in real time. They're Americans that were stuck in Israel. They were there for a wedding and they got stuck. But they love our program. They love our show. I do want to make a mention. Thank you, Fred Profiter, for mentioning that Elon Musk brought Starlink to Iran. That was because of my Jexit organization. My Jexit organization actually brought that to Elon's attention. And because of my Jexit president, Michelle Lubin-Terrace, asking Elon Musk to do that, he actually reposted to her and said, Michelle, the beams are on. So he put the beams on with Starlink because of my Jexit organization. So thank you, Fred, for bringing that up.
And just one last thing. We're talking about a country whose Navy is a bunch of guys in canoes with a 12 gauge. They're not a threat once Israel gets done with them. They're not going to be anything other than a paper tiger.
In the Navy.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Before we get to the next thing, you are absolutely right about that. But there are consequences to everything, and over time, look at 9/11, look at different things. It can happen, but it's just the nature of things. But
we can't let what could be stop us from what needs to be.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. And I completely agree that this needs to be stopped. I don't want Iran to have a nuclear warhead pointed at the U.S. one day.
And I just want
to put it at Israel either, or any other country.
Yeah. And I just want to say, for people that are like shitting on Bibi Netanyahu, they need to not do that anymore, because he's actually thinking of Americans also, because there's 700,000 Americans that live in Israel, and he's thinking of Americans, and he doesn't want them dead on his soil. So for everyone who keeps shitting on Netanyahu and keeps saying, well, he's all about himself. Yes, he's Israel first, but he's also thinking of Americans first as well.
So, all right. So with that, we're going to go to our next segment. We went over a little bit on that one. I didn't notice that so our next segment here, I'm going to go into, I named it No Kings Since 76, which is 1976. And the reason I go with 76 is I'm going to bring it to my Philadelphia roots, Philadelphia 76ers. And we'll get to more Philadelphia roots in the fourth segment. So if anyone doesn't know what that is, I'll explain. But in 1776, obviously, we declared on July 4th that there are no more kings. So I was going to go in and talk about the riots, about the No Kings riots and the anti-ICE riots. But instead, with the breaking news that I announced earlier about the Supreme Court 6-3 ruling against, in Tennessee, the United States versus Scrimeti. So I wanted to talk about that. So, I mean, the ruling by the Supreme Court, the decision was written by Justice Roberts, actually. He's the one who wrote it. And, that Tennessee law did not violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. So it seems that it's not okay to mutilate children. So there we have some common sense. So for minors, it bans healthcare providers from administering puberty blockers and surgically removing parts, from children, which I don't think, and I don't think anybody else thinks, is anything that anybody should do, because it just basically stops them from elective surgery. And elective surgery for a child is elected by a parent, pretty much, because the child is a child. They can't make those types of decisions, and we all know about that. So I just wanted to go into real quick on, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She wrote, concurring opinion in this case, and was joined by Justice Clarence Thomas. In a concurrence, she argued that if the Tennessee law was interpreted to target transgender individuals, it should not be subject to heightened scrutiny, because transgender individuals should not be considered a suspect class. This means that laws clarifying based on transgender status would only be subject to rational basis review, the lowest level of judicial scrutiny. Justice Barrett's reasoning for this stance includes the argument that transgender people are not a discrete group, and there isn't a sufficiently long history of legally mandated discrimination against transgender people, akin to that based on race or sex. She stated that adding gender identity to the list of suspect classes would involve courts in policy debates better left to legislators, such as those concerning access to restrooms or eligibility for sports teams. So I just wanted to go on that. So basically what she means is that they're not a class. So being a transgender, you could be one class and then declare yourself another class the next day with the same body. So I'm me. I could say, all right, I'm a woman tomorrow, and then the next day say, hey, you know what, I'm a man. So that doesn't apply to you. So basically, they actually went back instead of using social issues to make their decisions. Well, 3 of them did, but the rest of them did not. They went back to the 14th Amendment and what the actual case was about. So it's a good thing that that brings me to the no kings, because kings didn't make this decision. It was a 6-3 decision. And last time I checked, that a king didn't make the single decision. So I'll take this one to you, Elena.
Man, I am so happy. I woke up this morning, found out this news that now Tennessee can keep their ban on gender affirming care, or I call it that just because that's what they call it in the case, but it is really chemical castration and surgical mutilation of children. That's what it is in reality. And now 24 other states that have varying degrees of laws preventing this stuff happening to kids can also uphold their bans. I'm thrilled. I want to clarify a little bit more about what you were saying about the suspect class. And you said it without saying the term. Does this class of people who are being discriminated against, say women, say Black people, is there an immutable characteristic that does not change? And with trans people, yeah, you could be trans one day and then detrans the next day. One day you're a man, you're a woman, you're a furry, or you're a banana. And you change your mind every single
bananas.
So it is a mutable characteristic. So you are not a suspect class, and this is not subject to heightened scrutiny by the courts. Now, I also think that the 3 justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, who voted against this, obviously we have a limited understanding of the Constitution, it seems, or they are absolutely politically motivated. And I think actually both can be true at the same time, because it's really almost impossible to look at this case very closely and see any really rational dissent. And I'm disgusted that 3 of them voted against this, but who cares? They lost. It's over, and now we can move forward. This is a massive win, and we can move forward on making more and more strides in protecting children. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, so Mike, it's a big win. It's a big win. So, Seth, your thoughts?
Before I answer, I want to say hey to my son who's on, George Bush, and my daughter, Ren Jamin. They're watching, so I'm going to try to calm my tone and my verbiage.
Darn.
It's not going to work. It's not going to
No, that's not you.
This stuff was recorded, by the way. Damn. Last episodes.
So I agree with Elena to a degree, but the way I look at it is it's sad that we need to tell adults who have children, no, you can't cut off their perfectly good genitalia. No, you can't give them drugs because they say they don't feel like they're a boy or a girl. No, you can't do other things to them because that's what they tell you at the age of 7. I think it's horrible that we live in a country with people that fucking stupid that they need other adults to tell them you can't harm a child. If the kid feels that way at 9, 10, 11, 12, that's great. When they turn 18, they can do whatever they want to do because then they're an adult. I would advise to wait till you're 24 because it's a scientific fact. Your brain is not fully developed till 23 to 25, somewhere in that age range. So whatever you think at 18 or 8 or 10, I can guarantee you is going to be different when you're 21 or 22. And it will change again when you're 30. And trust me, I'm 53. I've changed my opinion on everything 25 times, and that's in the last half hour.
You don't look a day over 73.
I know, and I feel young. I feel like a young 91. But I think it's sad that we have to tell adults they can't do that. I mean, I can't imagine looking at my kids when they were 7 and like my son or my daughter going, I feel like I'm a horse. And then me having their back broken, so they have to walk on all 4s, and having their nose elongated and putting a saddle on them and calling them Wilbur just because that's what they wanted to do. I can't imagine taking my son or daughter to a hospital and saying, can you remove their genitalia? Can you remove her breasts? Because she feels like a boy. and my son feels like a girl, so remove his penis and testicles. Just because that's what they feel like. It's the parents that need the help, not the children. I could go on for hours. I think these parents.
I know, Seth. For the sake of time, let's Tim. I'll take it to you. You have kids. I'll take it to Alexandra afterwards.
Yeah.
You don't have to like your.
I'll be quick because there's no more Larry King. There's no more BB King. There's no more Rodney King or Burger King to tell kids anymore that they can have an addictomy or a chop a dick off of me. And all I can say is, how dare you?
Thank you for wrapping up one quick. I knew it was going to be funny. Thank you. And Alexandra, to you.
I don't know how I could follow that. I mean, that was awesome.
No, it's a tough one.
I'm just going to say real quick, like, this opens up the door for, hopefully other states to, ban, what has happened, like in regards to the state of Minnesota with stupid Governor Tim Walz. He put that into legislation. So this needs to be reversed completely. I mean, he was in front of Congress and Nancy Mace asked him, what is a woman? And he couldn't even answer her. Even the new Supreme Court Justice Jackson and Fred Profiter brought that up. She couldn't even answer what is a woman. I mean, it's very simple. It's very simple. So, I applaud, thank God the Supreme Court, it went through. But the fact that it even had to go up to this level is asinine and disgusting to me. It's incredible. So that's all I have to say. But hopefully more states will, reverse their legislation, like Minnesota and so forth. And we get this country back on track to teaching the kids about reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, if I can just please, because this is my jam. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. To jump on that, I do hope that my prayer is that now that this is happening, that in states where it becomes illegal to do this, they just completely pull out of the gender indoctrination in the schools, because there's not going to be any money left in it. When they were doing this, they were, at least all the local hospitals and the therapists were making money on the kids that they were whacking out from pre-K, telling them they're in the wrong body. So this could really change the culture dramatically, not just in not just in the hospital. And I could go on again, like Seth, all day about this. I have a lot more information, but back to you, Damon. I'll zip it.
So, Elena, in 15 seconds, you just tell everyone where to see your last podcast, talk about the Girl Scouts and who was involved with that, who's running the Girl Scouts. Just 15 seconds, real quick. Don't
go to my Rumble channel, Base Mother on Rumble, and you can find out that the Girl Scouts are dragging troops to pride parades where they're being forced to march alongside mostly naked people who are living out their sexual fetishes in public, and it's coming down from national.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
That's right.
Well, hey, we're getting to the star of that movie soon. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live on the America's Pulse Network. You are all in with Alexandra Levine. We are still waiting for someone from the White House to come out and tell us what transpired between President Trump and Vladimir Putin on that call today. We are here live at the White House. We're waiting for White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to come out and tell us about the updates of today, the call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, what transpired in that call.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
All right, and welcome back to segment 3. Segment 3 is Sticks and Stones, Rhetoric Breaks Bones. So before we get into the segment, let's roll the first clip.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
The vast majority
Oh no!
of the protesters
there
were
it goes.
peaceful.
I didn't forget what he's going to say.
We stand for law and order, and we stand for justice.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
My administration will always stand against violence, mayhem, and disorder.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there is unrest in our lives.
I stand with the heroes of law enforcement.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome.
James Brown looks sick.
We will never defund
Great
our police.
line.
Together, we will ensure that America is a nation of law and order.
We were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I think you need to go back and punch him in the face. Feel like punching him.
We just want law and order. Everybody wants that. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. We want law and order. We have to have law and order.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
We believe in safe streets, secure communities, and we believe in law and order.
Yeah, it's just law and order. It's that simple. I mean, that could have been part of the last segment too, but I switched it up because of the breaking news. But when Democrats reportedly called Trump a fascist and they urged, their base to fight, and get out there and fight, and how do we counter that without playing into their same games? Because what just happened in Minnesota, to represent Melissa Hortman and her husband, and other shooting that was there too. A lot of people were going back, it was a conservative guy that did it, and then everyone's going back and forth, but making it politically motivated. This last incident, but if you look at a lot of incidents out there are politically motivated because they have rhetoric like that they just spewed out, and you see that's why people are riding the streets. But how do we counter all this without being like them? I'll take it to you, Tim.
The left, they don't understand the simple fact. To be a man doesn't mean I have to say, I'm going to kick your ass. It doesn't mean that I have to act like I'm going to fight and say certain things and try to flex muscle or anything. They don't have it. And it's obvious. Everybody sees it. They're beta males, and they've been told by consultants to act like you're a tough guy. What a real man is somebody who stands by their values and principles, stands by their family, and does the right thing. And that is why they can't connect. And my opinion on this is you don't get involved with what they are saying. Don't let them punch up and you respond by punching down, because then we're on that same playing field. Ignore them. Let them crash. Let them burn. People understand right away that real men were not toxic. The toxicness is coming, in my opinion, is coming from these liberal white women who just scream toxic masculinity. And it's like, no, women want masculinity. Men want to be masculine. And let the left go into their little bubble and continue sinking. And as we saw, they're losing money. They can't even fund their DNC operation because they spend tons of millions of dollars to find out what a man is when they can't even answer what a woman is. We don't play on their field.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I agree 100%. And Alexandra, I want to go to you because I just want to go to you because you and Seth had a great episode a couple weeks ago talking about relationships and stuff like that. So I'll just ask you, I mean, I know you know what a woman is. I know you know what a man is because you have common sense. But tell me, what does a common sense woman actually want?
Oh, geez. Oh, God. That's a very vague, open, type of question. Ooh,
I had to go with that after Tim just.
I know. I mean, and I'm not going to go in, publicly and tell, the audience what I want in a man. It's just.
I'll just say
Well, why not? I mean, hey.
Muscles.
Do you like a man that's going to take care of you?
Ask me the question. I'll tell you. Ask me questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you like a man that is going to protect you physically?
Yes.
I mean, not so much financially, but also financially. But I know you're your own woman, make your own bones and all that stuff. But you have a job, so not saying that stay-at-home mom stuff. You don't have to do that if you don't want to.
No, I mean, yes, I'm the type of woman that I love a masculine man. I like a man that will fight for me. I like a man that will also take the journey of life with me and be my best friend. That's so important to me. I'm very fortunate in life, and we just celebrate Father's Day. I have a wonderful father. I have a great relationship with my father. I'm one of those type of women that would like to see some characteristics of my father in a man, because my father is that alpha male in our household. If he falls, we all fall. He's the lion in our family. And I mean, I'm sorry, say it again.
Mr. Dick. He's a good dude.
He watches our show, by the way. He's my Dude knows my father very well. But no, he's a really great guy, my father, and he's a very smart, intellectual man. And I like that too. I like a man that I can have a smart, intellectual conversation with. I think, and a lot of people have talked about this. I think, in my opinion, when we are on the same, playing field, even on the same political level, it does help. It really does help. And I think that bodes a lot to this day. I really do, because I don't know, in my opinion, if I could ever date or marry in my life like a hardcore socialist, person. It's just like a Bernie Sanders type. Like that just would not bode well in my lifestyle. I don't know if it would be a lot of, I won't say on air, but it would be very tough. It'd be very tough. But I think, and I agree with Tim 100% on what he said, is that, women, they really do want a masculine man. They really do. But I think all of these, feminist movements and the Me Too movement and even COVID, and that's what, Seth and I talked about, has really effed up the dating scene, effed up how, men and women talk to each other and how men and women interact with each other. Instead of like having, just a nice, wholesome conversation, it's like 2 seconds of, okay, like, are we going back to your place, my place? Can I take off your underwear? What underwear are you wearing? It's, it's not that's not, how that's not nowadays what, women really want, what certain men really want. It's that masculinity again. And it's about, so many people have so many, just different criteria now. And it's, in my opinion, it's people ages 28 to 35. The dating has really changed in that scene between 28 to 35 for men and women. And it's because we got hit hard with the recessions. We got hit hard with the COVID. So it's been very tough. It's been very hard for us to kind of bounce back, after that. But yeah, me personally, I want a mature man. I want a masculine man. I want a guy that has some similarities to my father, and a guy that is on the same playing field with me politically. And my father always said this, and this is interesting. This is something I didn't say on the show. If you can put your toothbrush next to that person's toothbrush, or if you can put your toothpaste next to that person's toothpaste, you know that you have something special. And that was one of the biggest, and that's why my parents have been married for almost 50 years, because they have that comfortability where they can walk into that bathroom and they have that wholesomeness together, and there's no uncomfortability with putting the toothbrush together and putting the toothpaste together.
Sounds like you have an Electra complex. Me being a shrink, I can help you with that.
What's an Electra complex? What is that?
It's the opposite of an Oedipal complex.
So
it takes patience later.
I guess later I'll take you, because I went that different road, but Tim pointed something out that maybe go a different way with Alexandra. But I don't. And then that clip that we just saw, that the rhetoric they're spewing, they're going to hurt people. That leads to this stuff. Now, well, number one, do you think any of those men that were there, like Biden and Schumer, you think they remind you of men? And then also, we get back to the point, swing that back in the end, but we'll run low in the segment. But I gotta get Seth next. But leading back to the original thing, this rhetoric, how do we battle it without sinking down to their level and get the point out?
Well, I think Tim is right that it's mostly weaker men that will spew that kind of rhetoric. Strong men, man, they just sit there quietly. Like, I don't know if you've ever hung around with Navy SEALs and that, or any special forces guys. They're just chill watching everything. They're not running their mouths about how much they can kick your ass. Biden, Schumer in his prime, I mean, is the kind of guy that sadly would lose a street fight within 30 seconds, and you can just see it in him. But he'll talk tough because they've got people around them, and they never have to actually get their hands dirty. They don't care if their supporters get curb stomped in the street. Somebody today put up on Blue Sky after the Supreme Court thing: protect trans kids, kill a Supreme Court justice. So we expect to see more of that after the Scrimetti decision. How to respond to it? I'm kind of with Tim. Ignore as much of it as you can. Unless it gets physically violent, where it's a matter of personal safety, then fight back on them. But I really don't think we should be engaging and throwing childish barbs, because at the end of the day, this really just feels like school kids. The Democrats come across as school kids, and it would be laughable if it weren't for the fact that they've become so dangerous and they now have people doing their actual violent bidding.
Yeah. Right. And Seth, to bring it back to the beginning of it, I mean, if you look at years ago when they called him the Bernie Sanders shooter, the one that went to the baseball game and shot. Yeah. So, it wasn't Bernie Sanders' fault, really. It really wasn't his fault. But things that he said can have these crazies out there believe that. And you see that happen over and over and over again when, that's why, sticks and stones, but rhetoric can hurt you. Words are very, very powerful. And if people hear the same thing over and over again and look at their elected officials, they tell them, get out in the street and fight. I want to punch them in the face. I want to take them behind the bleachers and beat them up. And then you see all these actors and actresses out there that talk about, Johnny Depp even say, when's the last time an actor killed a president? And then we had 2 assassination attempts on Trump, and then they keep going with it. So, I mean, when does it stop? Where's the off ramp? I mean, I know we can be as good as we can to try to stop that, to not say it. But do we just let them keep doing it and pointing it out? What's your thoughts?
Well, before I get to that, when we're talking about men, and I kind of piggyback on what everybody else said, I've been around the world. I'm 53 years old. I have met the baddest human beings on this planet, just stone cold killers. And what they all have in common is they don't got to tell you they're a stone cold killer. They don't got to tell you that they're a badass. You know it. It goes without saying. So all these people you see on these clips, I'm going to kick his ass. They're not going to do shit. They're doing all they're going to do, and that's talk. But to ignore it is hazardous. We just can't sit. It's like saying, well, wait till they throw their first punch and then fight back. You can get your ass knocked out. You don't wait. If you know it's coming, deal with it. Head it off. Nip it in the bud. Be done with it. When they're calling for violence, they need to be called out immediately. Like, hey, you can't talk like that. If you talk like that, we're going to show up and we're going to shout you out, or we're going to counter protest you. We can't sit back and go, they're just running their mouth, because the most dangerous person in the world is a weak man, because they got something to prove. So we just can't sit back and let these beta males and these simps and these idiots run around threatening people, because they will follow up on it, because they know they're weak and nobody believes them. So they have to act. So to sit back and wait for it to happen or hope it doesn't happen, it's like with Israel and Iran. You don't wait. If you know there's a threat, or there's a threat of a threat, attack it. Be done with it. Make sure it can't happen.
I'm a little confused, because you started with they run their mouth, but they're not actually going to do anything. And then we're also going to treat it like a real threat.
Yes.
And push back. Like if we really believe that they're just running their mouth and they're not going to do anything, then what's the point? They're just like a dog behind a fence barking, and that doesn't really matter. How do we distinguish between the two?
We don't. Treat it all real. You are accountable for what you say. If you say you're going to come kill me, I'm going to get you first, because I'm going to take you at your word, because you say you're a man, so I'm going to take you at your word. If you're saying you're going to assault me, as a man, I'll believe you. But be prepared for me as a man to come right back at you twice as hard.
I agree with that. What about like Ayanna Presley, who's like, we're gonna go out and fight until there's no fight left, or whatever she said. The elected officials who aren't saying I'm going to come get you, who are just sort of like inciting this anger and violence. How do we handle that?
You make sure everybody that listens to her and goes, yeah, go, you know what? She's not the one going to be swallowing blood when it comes down to it. It's going to be your dumbass, because you're doing what she says, and you're going to swallow an awful lot of blood to back up something she's saying. So make sure it's worth it to you, because I'm not playing. I will knock your dick in the dirt.
That's what she said.
I know.
I think you punched a little higher than that, but
So wait, so my counter question. So Damon Galdo, you said to me, what does a common sense woman want? Like, what does a woman want? My question is to Tim and to Seth, what does a man want?
Well, both you ladies already agreed with me on this segment. That's what I want. And I don't know when
Naturally.
So who's the real man here?
See, he's been married. He knows how to answer those questions. You already agree with him. Without answering, you answer without answering. That's what you do. I want exactly what you just said. Everything you just said. Do you agree? Yes, that's what I want. Because a woman is always right. That's how men do.
Yes, dear. It's yes, dear.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Until you get old enough, like when you're married for so long and you start having hallway sex, I don't know if anybody knows what that is.
What is hallway sex?
It's when you pass. It's when you pass each other in the hallway and you say "fuck you." No, fuck you. That's it. You've been married for so long. It's a joke. It's a construction joke that all the guys. They used to say that to me when I was an apprentice when I first got married. They're like, "Oh, I bet you the sex is great." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And they're like, "Wait till you get older. When you're married like 30 years, you're just gonna have hallway sex." I'm like, "What is that?" And that's what they said. So I always thought it was funny, but I'm not there yet. Honey, if you're watching, sorry to put our life out there, but it's a podcast, so I'm on all the time, so you got to be used to it. So, but other than that, I guess anybody have anything else to say in the segment?
Seth, what does a man want? Seth, what does
Seth, that's right.
I'm old fashioned. I want a partner. I want somebody that compliments me and is strong where I'm weak, and then lets me be strong for them when they're weak. I don't want someone to walk behind me or someone to lead me. I want someone to walk next to me. That's all I want. And as long as they like me and they respect me, I don't need anyone. I mean, they got to be able to cook. I mean, that's important because I got a belly. I like to eat. If you can't cook, it's just not going to work out. It really isn't.
Well, all right. So I'll end it with this: a man wants what he needs, not wants what he wants. That's
wait. What does a woman have to cook? Just anything?
I'm kind of partial to like steak. If you can do steak well, we'll be good. We'll be good. Because everybody gets ugly.
It's gotta be kosher though. Kosher steak.
I mean, the point is, everybody gets ugly. Nobody stays beautiful, but cooking skills are forever. So
that's true.
Well, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. A lot of people say.
Oh, it is.
So all right. So we'll take another quick break and then we'll go to the next segment.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live on the America's Pulse Network. You are all in with Alexandra Levine. We are still waiting for someone from the White House to come out and tell us what transpired between President Trump and Vladimir Putin on that call today. We are here live at the White House. We're waiting for White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to come out and tell us about the updates of today, the call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, what transpired in that call.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
So everybody, welcome back to segment 4. I see all the listeners out there. They're having fun. I see them going back and forth talking to each other. It's great. They put some good comments in that comment box. And I was looking at some of them. I was going to bring them up, and it was great. But I was like, I already kind of went far enough. I'm like, do I want to bring it up or not? But they were funny as hell when I see those comments coming up. But you guys can keep going, keep putting this stuff out there. I can see you guys going back and forth talking to each other. It's awesome. Thank you. But well, to the listeners and you guys, I got this segment is labeled 4th and 26, and our producer did not know what that was either. I don't know if any of you guys know what 4th and 26 is. Probably not.
Football.
But I'm going to bring it back to Philadelphia, where I'm from. We talked about 76, 76ers, 1776, signed the Declaration of Independence. 4th and 26 was when the Eagles were playing the Packers. Yep, Seth got it. So 4th and 26, they didn't think they were going to make it, and they threw it. Donovan McNabb threw a touchdown to Freddie Barnett in the end zone. It was for 42 yards, but it was the end of the game. No time left on the clock. Boom, won. Went to the NFC Championship game. It was great. It was awesome. That was one of my favorite football moments. But I figured 4th and 26 because it's like a Hail Mary. It's a long shot, and right now you have not just the Democrats, most of the Democrats, but the Democrats and their mouthpieces in the media, they're throwing Hail Marys. They don't know what to do. So with Democrats' decision to keep dying, on every hill that lost them the election in November, they're throwing Hail Marys. So, and you look at everything they're doing, you see, what was it? It was Ross Baraka, who was running. He's the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, running for governor of New Jersey, who just lost the primary, thank God. Then you had with him was Congressman LaMonica McClaver, that she tried to break into an ICE facility and got arrested. So this is all Democrats got arrested so far. So they're doing stupid shit again just to make headlines. So they're dying on the same hill that got them. They didn't lose the election in November. Then you have Alex Padilla, he got arrested by, I believe it was by the Secret Service because trying to break into, what was it, Christy? Was it Christy? No.
Yep.
Yeah. and he gets arrested. Now I don't know if you guys saw him. He was for the sake of time, we're cutting the clips. Because I have one clip that I want to get to after this. He was crying in the congressional hearing, saying they tackled me, they forced my arms behind my back. Well, that's what you get when you get arrested. The idiot. I mean, that's what happens. Then you had Judge Hannah Dugan, who escorted that illegal out of the courthouse, and now she's arrested and charged, and she's probably going to go to jail for it. And I hope she does, at least lose her seat as a judge. And then you have I forget his name, the mayoral candidate, Brad Lander in New York City, who hung out in a courthouse for a week waiting for ICE to come to try to deport somebody. And then when they come to deport somebody, he grabs onto this guy that he doesn't even know who the hell he is. He's like, I'm going to hold his arm until you show me a warrant. Damn well knowing you don't need a warrant when you're arresting somebody for ICE. And then they drag him out and they arrest him. And then he goes, they release him. He didn't get charged. They release him. And he goes out in front of the media and he goes, oh, they heard me. I just want to know when they were going to show the warrant. I want to hold, but I don't even know the dude's name. I don't even care anymore. I want to hold his hand like he knew him. Like it's just, they're dying on every hill. All these political stunts that they're trying to play. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're trying to do. And I'm going to get to you guys in 1 second. And because he brought up girls have a vagina. Well, no, boys have penis, girls have a vagina. The star of that movie. I got to play this because the cows on The View asked them a question. And they didn't go the way they wanted to. So let's play this clip. And we'll stop it in between because I'm going to show you something in between.
By the American people like that. I mean, imagine they came over here with the age of 21. With absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and they're the foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house, and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean. And so
there you go. Stop it right there. So you see Sunny Hostin. You saw it when you saw the whole view of the table. She wanted to interrupt. She wanted to stop him. She wanted to move her hand. And then finally, she says something. She goes to move her hand again to stop him because she knows that he's going to say something that she doesn't want the crowd to hear, doesn't want the audience to hear that they're watching, doesn't want it to get out. And he just keeps going, which is great. But you see, she tries to stop him right there. She doesn't want to hear it. That's what they try to do. And we'll just finish the clip up and then we'll go on.
Make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back.
So there you go. There's the clip there. They didn't want Arnold to say what he wanted to say, but he got it out anyway. It went viral. It's great. It's awesome. And then I just explained to everyone that's trying to die on that hill, they just won't get off of it. So I don't even know the rotation where I started because Alexandra late. You kind of messed me up on that one, so I blame you. So I'm just going to go to Seth to start this one off. Seth, what do you got?
I agree. No one is against legal immigration. I've never met anybody who's against legal immigration. If you follow the process, do what you're supposed to do, we're going to welcome you with open arms. And if you fall in hard times like any other American, we're going to help you. The problem is when you come illegally, when you think that you're better than the millions of other people who've done it legally and that you're special and you don't have to follow the rules. You can just come in and do what you want to do. And then, like I've been saying, these illegal immigrants or aliens have not been here 2 or 3 days. They haven't been here 2 or 3 months. They have been here, in some cases, generations. They haven't had ample opportunity to start the process, to start it. We've been talking, this has been a big deal now for what, 10 years, talking about immigration. It's been big. It's been in the news. Presidents have talked about it. And still, they haven't made any steps to become legal citizens. And still, they give us the finger and wave their flags in our cities, bitching about America and what they will and won't do. And still, there are politicians, and I'll even go so far and say it, and that pisses people off. I'm used to it. Priests and rabbis and deacons helping them break the law, telling them to break the law. The blood is on their hands too. These people that die coming across the border, I hold them responsible because it says pretty plainly in the Bible, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's and render unto God that which is God's. The laws of the law. You are obligated to follow the law. So when these people die and you got these politicians and these preachers, oh, it's so wrong, we should make it better. Shut up. You killed them. You killed that person because you told them it's okay to do what they're doing. God commands you to break the law. We need, and I say it every time I talk, we need to stop coddling these people. If I break the law, I go to jail. They're no different. They don't get any special treatment, except they get to go home. And by home, I mean back to their third world country where they came from. And that needs to happen to all of them all the time. And these politicians, anybody that supports them breaking law, should have to go with them. I just don't understand when did it become wrong to enforce the law? I must have missed that meeting or didn't get that memo. I just don't know. It's stupid. It's stupid. I'm done.
Can we just have a moment of silence to commemorate the fact that Seth just quoted Jesus?
Yeah.
Oh, and I disappeared too. You see that? Yeah.
Oh.
It's a miracle.
It used to be water he was drinking just 5 minutes ago. Turned into beer. So, all right. Well, with that, Alexandra, I'll take it to you. I mean, what do you think? They keep dying on this hill over and over again. And I personally, I like the fact they're getting arrested. If it was a Republican doing the same dumb shit, I would have condoned that as well. But they keep doing it over and over again. I think they're going to fizzle out, and I love it to just keep letting them do it. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I just want to say kudos to Arnold Schwarzenegger for, not holding back, for telling the American people his story, how he came here, how he obtained legal citizenship, how he had a tremendous career in Hollywood, and then he became the governor of California. And we look at our first lady, the same thing, came to our country. She was so happy when she became an American citizen, and now, and she was the first lady, and now she's the first lady of the United States again. So miracles happen, guys. You don't have to come to this country and live off the system and wonder why you're not successful and so forth and just keep living off our system. You can do it the right way. People like Arnold Schwarzenegger, the FLOTUS, they're very successful people. They did it the legal way. And I'll remind my viewers, Israelis that come here to America that want to obtain American citizenship, it takes them 7 years. 7 years, not 25, not 30. It's only 7 years. And I agree with Seth that once you're here, get started on the process immediately. But the problem is that you have idiots like Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama and Kamala Harris and even Jeb Bush that said, come over here, we welcome you with arms of love. And you can be here and you can work here and you can live here and everything's fabulous. And they do it in such a way and they make it so easy so that people don't want to obtain legal citizenship. And that's why I was able to contact ICE when I saw an illegal immigrant from Honduras here for 25 years on a permit. That's why Tim Fazenmaker contacted ICE, got rid of the damn illegals that were hanging out at his Home Depot in Dundalk. It's enough is enough. Go through the system. It doesn't take 25 years. It can take 3 to 4 to 5 to 7 years to become an American citizen. And that's it. And you can reap the wonderful benefits. Stop reaping the benefits by being an illegal. And you won't have to worry about being deported.
You're only speaking common sense there to me. So, Tim, your thoughts on this one? Do the governor?
Well, speaking of Arnold, I've been watching the show FUBAR, and I'm going to be watching the last episode of it right after we get off this podcast. So, looking forward to that. And watching Arnold again, he's done things that haven't been great as a governor and some of the things he said, but generally his story is kind of an American dream. And I think about when I got out of college and I started working professionally, I worked with a lot of foreign people from Norway, from Sweden, from Turkey, from Colombia, from Egypt, and things like that. These were good people, all graduated college, and that doesn't matter, but they graduated from college and they were working and they all wanted to stay here. All of them had to leave. They couldn't stay. They went through the process and realized, oh, I don't know why I can't stay. And I remember, 20 some years ago talking to them saying, just do it illegally then. Because why are we prioritizing and allowing and having this compassion for illegals that are crossing the border, that are coming here, whether they want to make a better life or whether they're criminals or not, when you have people that are trying to come the right way and they have so much trouble doing it. And it just breaks my heart because I looked at a lot of it and I said, a lot of them were from Europe at the time. And I'm like, you don't see immigrants coming from Europe anymore. It's by design, and it's been done since the 60s. And I talked about it with Ted Kennedy. They want to import more third world nations into this country to break down the culture and belief that America was founded upon, which was really freedom and independence and community in a sense as well, too. So, I do feel for people who want a better life, but you know what? I want my family coming first. And then I want my community come first, and then my city, and then my state, and then my country before we help anybody else. So if you're here illegally, leave and try to come back the right way, because you know what? No matter what, you screwed over my friends that were trying to become legal here when they were trying to do it the right way and you didn't.
Yeah.
Amen.
And then to lay of you, I want to say when people come here illegally, like armed forces, but they respect, they're a guest. He sleeps over someone's house, then they, he makes sure he makes their bed. They, keep it clean, and they give back to America, like you said. If you come here knowing that this country is going to give you something greater, and you're leaving your country for a reason, it's going to give you the opportunity to do what Arnold Schwarzenegger did, or to do what all of us have done, even though we're born here. To have the opportunity to accomplish different things. And you kind of spit in the face of it. You come over here and you spit in the face of it, you wave your flag and you burn cities down, you spray paint all over the place, like in the riots that we're seeing. I mean, before immigrants came over here with knowing that they had that opportunity and out of respect, now they don't. And I believe you were known that you can come over here with your culture and your religious beliefs, but you had to assimilate to Western values. So what do you think's going on? How do you think things get better? I know we already shut down the border and stuff like that, but the people that are here now that are going to be deported, and we just had 1 million people that self-deported last I heard. For those people that actually they seem like they want to come back here, what do you think about that?
I think you asked me 5 questions in one. So
yeah, I know. Well, yeah, with all of that. Sorry.
What they took that opportunity away from them. The opportunity to come here was to build a new life yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, come here and establish a life. They have not done that. They have taken people, Biden and Kamala invited them in by the tens of millions to come in and leech off of the American people through the welfare system. They put them on asylum status when they weren't necessarily asylum seekers. They just extended welfare to people who weren't even eligible for it. So all the opportunity and the drive to come to America and thrive was squashed. It was the, give a man a fish versus, teach him to fish thing. When you put them in the welfare system, they don't have any incentive to build something, or, there is no sink or swim. They're hanging out on a cruise ship the whole time in a 5-star hotel, getting a 5-star meal delivered to them 3 times a day. And they have no incentive. And welfare, if you've noticed, doesn't improve anybody's life, not Americans and not illegals. If welfare made people's lives significantly better, all we would hear from Democrats all day long is the data on how welfare lifted people out of poverty and turned their life into, it's almost like they had white privilege the whole time. We would hear it day in and day out. It does not work. So what we're doing is abusive to people. It's abusive to American citizens. It's abusive to the migrants, and the migrants in so many ways. Like you were talking to somebody, said about how somebody died coming across the border. There's trafficked and missing children, all the rapes that happen, that when 10-year-old girls get to America, they'd have to give them a pregnancy test because they were raped so many times along the way. Like the torture that the Biden and Harris administration put forth. And now you have Democrats putting together these, what I call Jussie Smollett stage plays, because that's what they feel like. They're just staged fake incidents like that. And the mayoral candidates of New York, oh, crying, I got arrested. And then Padilla, whatever his name is, oh, I got crying, I got arrested. It was so humiliating. Yeah, you made a fool out of yourself. You are the new Jussie Smollett. And that's all there is to it. I have had it. And you're standing up for rapists and murderers.
It's the French actor.
I'm not worried about saying his name right. He can go.
It's an inside joke.
We'll explain it afterwards.
Yeah, that's what he was named after.
Whole thing. It's a digital.
Jesse douchebag. That'll cover it.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Elena. Finish your point. I'm sorry.
Totally done. I was ranting at that point. Thank you. You just saved everybody from a carrying on rants.
Ranting? That never happens on here.
But the fact that the Senator Padilla was like lunging the DHS secretary and thought it was okay, thought that, well, I should be arrested. My senatorial authority. You were lunging at her, dude. You were so out of line. And he didn't even tell her that he was coming. He didn't even announce that he was coming. She had no freaking idea who he was. He didn't have a name tag on or anything. I mean, she found out later. But it's just disgusting how these damn Democrats, they just feel they're entitled. It's like a damn entitlement. Same thing with Maxine Waters. She talked about that last week. She was using her congressional authority. And it's asinine. They're supporting people that break the law. Everyone, to the viewers, these are your lawmakers. These are lawmakers that represent you. They are actually in a line with breaking the law, and they're supporting people that break the law. And that's why these people need to be removed from office permanently.
Well, I wanted to say, I think they think it's a cool thing to get arrested because they all want that mugshot because they thought that Donald Trump was going to be the worst thing ever for his mugshot. And then it skyrocketed him to the top. He was selling T-shirts with the mugshot and everything else. And they're like, oh, man, we got to be cool like Donald Trump. We got to be cool like everybody else because getting arrested is a cool thing now. That they're so out of touch with everything. They piggyback off of what the Republicans are doing, how they get elected. Oh, man, because if we went with toxic masculinity, but actually people like masculine men and white people are actually okay sometimes. Oh, my God, we're not the devil. But they keep going with all this different stuff, and they're trying every different outlet. It's like, the cool thing is to get arrested. Well, maybe you think it's cool to get arrested because you have catch and release and you have your cashless bail stuff. Well, when do you get arrested for real? If you got arrested back in the day when I was growing up, it wasn't cool because it wasn't cool at all. Because when I growing up in my neighborhood, most of the cops knew you, so they would call your dad first, before they took you to jail, and they would beat the heck out of you, and then let your dad come and beat the heck out of you. And then if he did it again, you didn't learn that time, then you actually went to jail, and it wasn't fun. But, maybe that's what they're used to.
I just want to say one thing. Democrat, Republican, two sides of the same coin. Yep. It's all show. None of them ever get in trouble. They play us for fools, and they don't give – they're worried about the next election cycle. That's it. They're going to do whatever they got to do on both sides of the aisle to get reelected. And if that means they play the good guy, they'll play the good guy. If that means they got to play the bad guy, they'll play the bad guy. I don't trust none of them. I don't believe anything half of them say. And I if I don't see it, it didn't happen. It's just how I look at it when it comes to politicians.
Well, speaking of bad guy, I'm going to be the bad guy if I don't get up to the wife and watch FUBAR with Arnold in it. So I wish you guys a great night, and thank you for everything on here, and I will see you guys next time.
You rock. Thanks, Tim.
All right, Tim.
Thank you. Go to at America One Tim Faze on his X and timfazenbaker.com. That's timfazenbaker.com. Make a donation to this campaign, everybody.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, all right, everybody. Well, listen, thanks for joining us tonight. Everyone listening out there, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for all that stuff. I mean, we're here for you guys. We'd like to hear what you have to say. You're the most important thing. It's why we do this. So we really like to hear from you guys. The comments were great. They were funny. We kind of went over on time and stuff like that here and there, but it's the way it goes. So our producer can yell at us after this. And I think next episode I want to say, let's show the man behind the curtain here who controls all this stuff. But he's the man, by the way. His name is Damon as well. First Amendment Live Studios that he runs. He is awesome. He's the man. He does all this stuff for us. So thank you, Damon. So I'll give you a shout out. Let's just go around, start with you, Alexandra. Let's tell people where they can find your show and, well, obviously on the America's Pulse Network. But dates and times.
Yeah, sure. So everybody, I'm Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live, 8 to 9 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday night. So it's a 1-hour impact show. And I'm also the White House correspondent for this network. So you will see me at the White House. You'll see me, covering events happening downtown and all around. So thanks, guys, again. Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. on America's Pulse Network.
Okay, I'll go to other host, Seth.
Just Sunday at 7.
Sweet.
Sunday at 7 till 8:30. You can watch me have an aneurysm or a stroke. I don't know what's going to happen.
Or show your foot. Show your foot.
Or I could show my foot if you send me enough money. It's completely up to you. I have an OnlyFans page. It's www.mygodthat'sahorriblefoot.com on OnlyFans. And I'm on the Pulse. They let me out of my cage during the week for a little bit, so this is where I come hang out. I want to thank everybody who's watching, especially Drunken Monkey, Ren Jammin, and George Bush.
And Fred Profiter.
And Fred Profiter. Well, those three, they're family. So my daughter, my son, and my daughter's fiance, husband, boyfriend, I don't know. And I'm not trying to be rude to him. He's a good guy. And Fred Profiter, yeah, whatever. But yeah, 7:30 to 8 on Sundays, and I'm on here, and that's plenty of me. You don't want to see any more of me than that.
And Elena, your show.
Hey, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Base Mother, and I have a show here on Rumble and YouTube also at The Base Mother. Couple times, 2 to 3 times a week, and usually at 7 p.m., but not always. So, you got to just kind of catch up.
So, all right. And I'm Damon Gallo, host of the Jersey Shore.
The Hammer.
The Hammer. I knew
The
that.
Hammer.
So Mondays at 8 p.m., Fridays at 8 p.m. I also have the radio show on Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. But that is on 92.1 WVLT. It's a Jersey station. You have to Google that to listen to it live, or go on Facebook. That airs on Facebook Live as well. But it all airs on the Pulse, except for Thursday. The show does not. It airs later. And then obviously the Pulse tonight. But thank you guys. Thanks for letting me host. Not the greatest host ever, but whatever. You guys were great tonight. It was fun as always, man. I look forward to this show. Sometimes I don't look forward to my show because my kids are screaming at me for this, that, and the other. And so I got them tonight. I said, "You're not messing this show up. I'm not going to go dark and turn the camera off and I yell at them because I love them to death, but they don't give me like a good hour and a half when they're home. But it just shows that they love me. So maybe I'm doing something right. But thank you all for coming. You're great people. Thanks for all information. Thank you to all the listeners out there, and keep coming on and listen to us. So, who said who cares? So, all right, I'm going to end it right there. All right, guys, have a good night, and I'll be on vacation next week. I may or may not be on the Pulse, so we'll see. So, wrap it up.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.